Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, I'm Mark, and it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night, it's 7:30. It's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. Let's get Jamie in if he's about, if he's back from the pub, or he's sprinting down his little lane with his pint in hand, ready to come on through the garden gate with me. And there he is. Hello?
You can't say that every week, you know that.
Yeah, but you usually are.
And to be honest, I have.
So I can say it every week.
You can, yeah. I've just sat here as you pressed request. Moss has just run straight out of my allotment through the horse field with a bloody great carrot in his mouth. Bugger. He's pulled a carrot up, leaves and everything. He's run straight down the field with it. A little git.
You say that it's slugs, but I think it's just your dogs.
It probably is.
There's no slugs in your garden.
They
Not after the state of that squash arch behind you.
Looking good. Actually, saying that, look, wait there. Sorry, give me 1 second. 1 second. I found this earlier as well. This will be a moss. This is a moss.
What the heck is that?
That's a squash.
How have you already got squash?
I've got loads of squash already.
And then my squash arch looks like that.
But he's had that. Look, you can see the dog teeth in it. He's had it off.
You have to
Where's your squash arch? Point to it.
See,
yeah, that's an arch. No, Mark, that's an arch.
Yeah, and all the squash look like this.
Oh God. But yeah, look, I just saw that as I came to sit down. It's been plucked. I don't know which one it is. I've got so many varieties, I can't remember. But
Shower.
Yeah, take it, dog. Go on, go.
So
yeah,
what are you feeding your squash with, or is it just plant grow?
Plant grow. I haven't fed anything.
Just still in the plant grow soil from last year. No soil.
Oh no, there's no soil. They were mulched in the autumn with mulch with an inch of mulch. That's it. I'm telling you, that's I know everyone says, "Oh, plant grow." I am a champion, but the reason I'm a champion is because that is good stuff. It's absolutely brilliant. Look at that.
The results speak for themselves.
Look at that.
Plant grow, send me some compost, please.
Look at it.
Before I give up veg growing.
Apart from that, you see that? Poorly little snake bean. It's the second one's doing nothing. It's just gutted.
I think mine's starting to pick up again now. It's got really sickly, but I've got new growth on the very end of the vine.
Yeah,
and
so
I've also got flower buds.
I noticed that yesterday. I was just about to dig it up and put it in the greenhouse, and I noticed a little tendril on the top was getting a bit nice and curly, and a couple of new little leaves were starting. And that's it. But they just don't like it. They're really, really finicky, aren't they?
They obviously don't like the cold temperatures in the evenings that we had.
No.
It's warmed up this week and over the weekend. So
Yeah.
that's why it's suddenly picked up. But yeah, I don't think they like cold night temperatures.
Right. What ate them? Oh, what the dogs, the ginger dogs.
And it was slugs eating my plants.
Yeah.
Although I came down the other night after I'd done my patio slug hunting, and there was only there was only 2 or 3 down here, whereas on the patio it was like night of the living slugs.
Yeah, you said.
Everywhere. I must have got 100 slugs
Oh,
within
my
like
God.
10 minutes of just wandering around the patio.
Horrendous.
You know, they were just everywhere, and they're all brown, the same type of slug. It's got his broad beans.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, dear. That's
The
I
size
was.
of
Wait.
an apple in it.
Well, they're monsters. Absolutely. They're probably tough as old boots. Well, they're right. They're quite tough, but they're just. Oh. This last week and a half, since I've had a bit of heat and a bit of rain, everything's just started going. Absolutely exploded. Cheers, by the way, Mark.
Cheers. Oh, you got wine. I wish I had wine. This cup tastes funny. I'm not sure about it.
Did you leave it out all week?
Yeah, no. I just give it a quick wash, but I don't think I've washed it well enough. Probably got some seaweed feed in there or something.
Lovely, yeah. So I've been trimming my squash arch back because it's just been absolutely mental. I couldn't walk down it the other day. It grows. It must grow 8 inches. Everything must grow 8 inches a night on there.
That's the thing. Once you get that nighttime warm temperatures, everything will grow. Whereas here, because we're obviously further north than you, it's a lot. I think we're further behind than where you are. So
Yeah.
everything I've put out is going so slowly. It's not growing fast enough to keep up with what the slugs are eating.
Yeah.
So they're just having everything.
Mm.
So I've sowed a load more squash, which have germinated, but I'm trying to grow them onto a bigger size before I put them in.
I think that's the thing. Just leave them in the pot until they're decent size, and the slugs can't decimate them in one night.
Well, it's when they chop the blooming stem that's annoying, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you're screwed then, aren't you?
Just eat a leaf. Don't need to eat the stem. And then they leave it.
Exactly. Did you see my sunflower yesterday? I was so gutted about that.
Oh, that'd be. Was that the wind?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But the stalk was more of a
Chunky.
trunk. It was, it was nearly Coke can thickness, and there must have been 10 flowers on the top. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and it just snapped because it was all windy yesterday.
Yeah.
It's still now, absolutely still, nothing, not a breath of wind.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, really strange.
But when I had them along the outside of the polytunnel last year, they needed staking because they went really wonky. Like they don't stay upright.
Yeah. But that one was self-seeded from last year.
Was it?
Yeah, I haven't sown any sunflowers at all. They're all self-seeded from last year.
I think that's the best way. I think as long as the slugs don't have the seedlings, but then if you planted like an entire row of them, you'd think you'd get at least a few out of that row.
You would hope so. You would hope so.
I mean, where we went at the weekend, we went to a pick your own place, and they had sunflowers, and they had the sunflowers that were ready in flower, and then 3 rows down they had some slightly behind, and then another 3 rows, and then right down to little seedlings. So they had the succession of the season.
Successional sowing of sunflowers as well.
Yeah, which was quite eye-opening to see. Even got little seedlings like that that are still going to get big enough in the season. So I think a lot of people think we're coming towards the end, and I think I think we're behind in the season because of the weather, and I think we've got plenty of time. Keep sowing, don't give up.
No. I think we're going to have a really good August and September. I really do. Hopefully. Look here, I've got dahlias galore here now. Look, these are all tubers from last year as well. They're just all coming through. Absolutely nuts. Look at their beans.
I've given up.
Look at their beans.
Mine got chomped off by a rabbit. I've managed to save my sword beans. They've got chicken wire wrapped around the bottom of them to stop the rabbits getting them.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, my white runner beans got gobbled.
Oh, not doing too bad. Surprisingly, because down that end of the field, so this is a 4-acre horse field, half of it is fenced off that way, and that is overrun with rabbits. But touch wood, they never make their way down this way.
Oh, right, you haven't got any fencing
No.
or anything?
No, nothing.
Right.
They just stay in that area. But thank goodness, because if they came in here, that would be it. Good night.
They'd have a field day.
They would.
Like Peter Rabbit.
Like whatever's been digging underneath my chilies and aubergines, melons. Did you see that yesterday in the stories? It must be moles or something, but they haven't done anything. The chilies, the aubergines, the melons that Shona sent me, the seeds, nothing. They're still that big, tiny, since I planted them out. And I thought I'll just have a look. And I pushed down around them, and it's just hollow. So it was just a crust on the top, and it was hollow. And they all just fell in.
Must be moles then.
Must be moles, but then nothing popped up to give me a sign. It was perfect on top.
Yeah.
So I've
just created a run around.
Yeah, I've firmed them all in again, and hopefully,
fingers crossed it works.
Fingers crossed, they might start growing. Ridiculous.
What's the thing they have in America? Oh, is it
gopher?
Woodchuck. Gophers. That's the one. Yeah. And they take it from underneath, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Good job we ain't got them. Where's me plant gone? Little swines.
What's been the big job at work this week then?
Well, we're still tackling big pile of bark, which is going to be ongoing for the rest of the season, pretty much. And I can't remember where I said last week, but we had 50 cubic tons of bark delivered.
Yeah.
So we're slowly clearing an area and mulching it as we go, so that it's actually, we don't have to worry about it again. Once it's mulched, hopefully that'll stop some of the regrowth of the weeds, because it's been neglected for so long. There's so much weed seed in there. Every time you weed, you walk away 2 weeks later, it's like you haven't been there.
Yeah.
Hoping that if we can get it thick layer of mulch on top, we might actually get somewhere.
That's the thing. So you're now preempting for later on. So you'll get more time, spend more time now than you'll get more time off later. And
we're obviously feeding the soil with the bark mulch as well. That'll break down.
Yeah.
Because it's not been done. Since it was when it was all planted, everything was bark mulched underneath.
Yeah.
And then it's never been topped up. What it should have been is done on a rotation and slowly keep on top of it, but it never was.
Yeah, I think with the bark, I think must at least every couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah, it soon goes.
Yeah.
It's surprising how quickly it goes. I think people think that you chuck it down once and then that's the end of it, but
no way.
It soon breaks.
So all around Truce's stables, at the front of the stables, that's all bark mulch. Yeah, 2 years. That's it. You wouldn't even know it's bark if you don't top it up. No.
It's surprising how quickly wood does break down when it's been chipped, because you've opened the structure.
Yeah, you get the air and the moisture in there.
And then that's good for the plants. You're feeding it as well, so and your trees and everything else in there. So
I think I might dig some of mine up next time we go to mulch it. I might dig some up because that'd be good to get on the compost heap.
Yeah, it's probably really good soil under there, especially with a bit of horse muck in there as well.
Be the good stuff, won't it? Be the good stuff.
Fertiliser.
So yesterday, I put out that. Did you see my Popular Radio? Have you listened to that yet?
I didn't see it. No, must have missed that.
Yeah, I put it out. Oh, did I? Did I not? Oh, maybe I didn't. But yeah, so Plant Grower now Popular Radio sponsors, which is lovely.
Good.
Yeah.
Should you not be wearing the purple top now then?
I should be, but
you look like Mr. Plant Grower.
It will be when I'm on the radio. I'll put it on. and they won't know. Bramble, come in here. Yeah, they won't know. But yeah, so they're now sponsors for the radio as well. It's brilliant. They're good lads there. Good lads and good stuff. They make some good stuff.
They just need
They
to
really
make
do.
some seed compost next.
Yeah, that just, I guess it's to riddle it down even finer and finer.
Really good find.
Would
And
be
not as
nice.
rich. It'd have to be like it'd probably be like a longer creation time, wouldn't it? Because it wouldn't want to be as rich as what
Yeah.
the normal stuff
I
is.
suppose if they mixed it with, they already do one with, they mix it with a third with the soil. I suppose if they sieve that a bit finer with soil, that wouldn't be too bad, would it?
I'm sure they could do it because they've got different products, haven't they? They've got the houseplant booster, which is like a top layer of additive
Yeah,
for houseplant.
that's
And that's
really
fine.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure they could do it. It's just
That's
whether or not it's worth them doing it. Whether they'd sell it.
one step at a time, I suppose. Yeah. Right, enough about us. We've got two gentlemen waiting for us in the wings, haven't we?
Hopefully, if they've turned up.
I haven't seen. I didn't touch anything. I think my comments have stopped already, to be honest. Bramble.
Yeah, they're in. Right, tonight we don't just have one guest, we have two, a ripe pair. The undisputed kings of tomatoes, one creating a revolution, the other is tomato obsessed. They like to tickle their flowers. Let's hope they don't leave us with crushed hearts. It's Niall Radford and Lance Turner.
Here he is.
Hello.
One.
Evening. Here's the other one. Hello.
Hi, Lance.
Look at that. He's got his cup
That's
as well.
devil.
Look, Lance, I got the red on for you. Not that I don't wear it every day to work anyway.
I wear this to bed and lined up a bit. How the
Very well, very well. What about yourself?
yeah, we're doing our bit, aren't we now?
Yeah, we're living the dream, fighting the fear. Yeah,
Busy now, isn't it?
Busy, absolutely
Very busy.
busy, chaotic. You chaps have got loads of greenery in the background. First question. I mean, James. I mean, I know what you're growing potentially. What's in the other tunnel? What tomatoes are you growing?
Oh,
Yeah.
all sorts. Crushed heart, brandy
Oh, the
boy,
best.
golden bumble, isocrag,
Oh,
That's a new one on me.
yeah.
Costa,
Oh, well done,
Costa
Niall.
Florentino,
Mm.
Oh, I like a Costa Florentino.
Gigantum.
Tell me you've got a Rebel Starfighter Prime in there, Mark, somewhere. It's got
I
to
don't
be.
think I have this year actually.
Gigantimos. That's quite an interesting F1. Yeah, that's a big boy.
Yeah, that's over that. That's that one.
And crushed heart, quite an interesting one. It's want to produce fruit quite low on the plant. We've got railing on the floor.
Oh really?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
about 10 of them look like they're just hanging on the floor, and it's a bit disconcerting. Yeah, all a bit different.
I always find them early to fruit.
Yeah, they're the first one on
Yeah,
mine.
definitely the first of mine as well. Yeah, definitely.
Downside is though, no flipping seeds in them at the beginning.
No.
So as a tomato seed saver like Niall, the difficulty is that probably the first 4 or 5 foot of the plant, you'll pick a stack of fruit, and there's no seeds on certain varieties, none. So recently, we've got a new variety called Rebel Starfighter Kalian, and I'm super excited about it. And I've cut about 60 of them, and we've got enough seeds for 1 packet. and I'm really peed off.
I bet you are.
I had the same last year, Lance, with Midnight Sun from Northern Gardener in Canada, the Karen Olivier. Beautiful heart, fabulous flavour. I had 5 plants go in, and I had enough for 20 packets of seeds out of 5 plants.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's really frustrating. But yet, cherry varieties will give you bundles of seed. At the weekend, I was harvesting some micro dwarfs, and they're all cherries, and there must be 3 packets of seed per tomato, cherry tomato. But at the same time, as I say, Midnight Sun, I gave that a long time ago, and that was a great tomato, wasn't it, Niall?
Yep.
But you need to grow about 50 of them to give you.
Yeah.
Whereas another plant, you can grow 3 of it, 3 plants, and it will give you enough seed for the season, and away you go. It's quite weird.
So, Lance, you just said there's no seeds in the fruits when they're low, but as they get higher. So, is that to do with the seasons going on?
It's to do with the habit of that actual variety. So some varieties you'll get straight away from the bottom, and away you go. Definitely cherry varieties. I mean, you buy a cherry variety from the supermarket, whatever, and there's always a load of seed in it. Heart-shaped varieties tend not to produce any seed until they're about 5 foot, really. So things like Sergeant Pepper's, which is quite a popular variety, or even crushed heart, no seed. Well, you'll look at yours when you grow them. You know,
well, I'll definitely take notice now. Yeah,
and you get to sort of 5 foot, and then away they go, and suddenly, because you're so disappointed, you think, what are we going to do here? This is a failure. And then whoosh, loads of seeds from 5 foot onward. So
that is because it's later on in the season and the light levels are dropping, or the temperature's dropping, or something.
no, it's specifically to do with each variety. So heart-shaped varieties tend to have that sort of habit. Heart-shaped varieties are often as well. You'll see it with crushed heart, very wispy leaves, low hanging, look a bit distressed, and that's heart-shaped varieties will be wispy on the leaf.
And that's the case for Rebel Starfighter. It's the case for Sergeant Pepper. But it's funny you mentioned crushed heart, Lance, because Lance and I are friends, and we talk to each other. Last autumn, we were talking to each other about crushed heart specifically. Both of us were moaning that there wasn't any seeds. And it got a bit further up the plant, and we were both celebrating we finally got some damn seeds.
We've not run out of it, and in the previous year we did run out of it, but we grew a few more plants, and I mean this year there's a new one I've got, which is Sergeant Pepper's Yellow. Really excited about that. Same problem. I probably got enough for about 3 packets of seeds. I'm hoping that there's so much fruit on the upper part of the plant, and we grow up the side of the tunnel and we go over the roof, and I keep hitting on the tomatoes on that bit, and I'm hoping all the seed will be in that top bit. But it's quite weird, seed saving. But, well, cooking them or eating them, I suppose. We have a different look on it. We're like we're a bit grumpy about no seeds.
So I guess every time you eat a tomato, you won't just slice it and put it in a sandwich and forget about it. You'll slice it, pick the seeds out, and then put it in your sandwich.
Totally, and people. We joke occasionally, because occasionally I have, we have friends around for dinner or whatever, and they're expectant of a tomato salad, and we'll tomatoes open, and they'll be on the table with, I don't know, with a barbecue or whatever, and they'll be like, they'll be eating it, and I said, "You're lucky. There's 20 pounds worth of seeds." So
I thought you were going to say you'd scoop the seeds out.
So my wife, we've had to put a little section in one of the tunnels for my wife. That's hers. She can have that. because I'm rationing her, and that's not right. It's really when you.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. People expect some lovely tomatoes when they come around yours. We can't
I think,
rip them half apart and then give them
yeah,
to them.
yes.
Can't just scrape the seeds out before you eat that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is quite funny. Well, I mean, obviously, Niall and I talk quite a bit, and one subject that sort of looms over us, and is that the fact that we are now DEFRA registered, have a visit from a plant inspector every
Oh wow.
summer. I
Yeah.
don't know of anybody, but
Yes.
anyone selling seeds now has to have complete provenance of what they're doing, what batches they're growing, the date on it. There's so much regulation; it's unbelievable, and we've succumbed to it because we've had to.
Yeah.
I got visited in early June. I think you were late June, weren't you, Niall?
I was 2 weeks ago when my guy came to visit me. Yeah, and you have to pay for them to visit you. I hasten to add.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Involved in that.
And they charge by the 15. They charge a flat fee, and then they charge by the 15 minutes. So you can imagine when they come, there's no small talk.
No cups of tea or anything like that.
No,
They're not
yeah,
consistent.
not consistent, Niall, because
They're not consistent.
So my inspector took plant samples, cutting samples, and had it tested for disease, because there's this horrible disease that started in Israel, has gone through Europe, brown rooster something, and they're looking for that. So they tested mine, but they didn't test Niall's. There's quite a weird inconsistency there. But at least before Brexit, you could just tell Europe, do what you like. But now it's like a dangerous plant, tomato.
Yeah.
Suddenly, since Brexit, and so we you might see on a lot of packets plant passport on the back.
Yeah.
And I did some research on this when I thought, well, if I've got to do it, I'm going to go and buy seed packets of tomatoes from all the big companies. I'm not going to name them, but we all know who they are.
Yeah.
The big boys, and also the big sort of DIY places as well. One of the big DIY places, nearly all of their seed came from Poland, and they would have had to pay and have that tested on the way in the UK. And then I'm finding seed from Vietnam, India. So a lot of the big companies are from all over the world paying fortunes to have that tested.
Yeah.
But so I'm going down rabbit holes here, but
No,
I thought,
it's interesting, really interesting.
so next time you look at a seed packet, I mean, lettuce and certain items like that don't have to have a plant passport, but peppers, chilies, those kind of things, potatoes, any nightshade family have that. And on the back, it'll have plant passport, it'll have the batch code, and then at the bottom, it should say GB for Great Britain, or it'll have another code for another country. And it's fascinating where, sorry, whip it puppy, sorry. It's fascinating to know where your seed comes from.
So what did DEFRA actually do then when they come to see you?
They test the plant. They test the. They take some cuttings, and then they go off and take that away for to test for disease. But they're looking at your record to know. So if I've got a jar of seed, that has to go. That batch of seed from that year has to be identifiable to them if there's a problem.
For 3 years.
For 3 years. So I have to put certain stamps and marks on the packet, identify the jar matching the seed.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing I've heard though is they think that all standard seed, tomato seed, should be in a yellow packet, and a backlash from all the companies. So as a trade-off, you have to put a little yellow dot on your packet of seeds that DEF was agreed to. It's bonkers.
Yeah, whereas my guy doesn't want any yellow dots. Your lady who visits you does want yellow dots. You know, there's people in the marketplace who are shipping stuff in from America and labeling it as GB. And the whole thing is a nightmare. Lance's lady wants him to wash his seed in hydrochloric acid.
Oh,
My guy's not interested. And the really piss take, I'm sorry, the real joke here, if I walk up to you, Jamie, and sell you a packet of seeds,
yeah.
I don't need to put a plant passport on those seeds. If I sell them to you over the internet, I have to give a plant passport.
Oh, that's
The
a
whole
joke.
system is meant to be about traceability, but if it's face to face, nobody's interested in traceability.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Madness, yeah.
So some companies are growing some seed themselves and putting that as GB, and then they're also buying in seed from other countries, and some people are putting GB on it. So it's a bit really.
It's all a farce, isn't it? It's all a farce, really. If people can get away with so much like that, it's just.
Yeah, but you know, it is what it is. But we've dealt with the big boys still here.
Sorry, the flies are coming out now. I just put my hat on.
You just want to look like Mark.
Yeah, I know. I strive to look like Mark, but I can't get to him.
So, James, how's your growing season been? Tomatoes. I know I gave you some weird ones.
Yeah. Yes, you gave me 6 of your.
They're dwarfed.
New ones. They're not very dwarf.
But 5, 6 foot.
Yeah, they're top of the greenhouse now. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're at least they're 5 foot now. Yeah,
They are still dwarfs, believe it or not.
wow.
Have you? The stems were thicker, and they kind of went like that.
They're quite sparse.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Put enough.
I haven't put much on the internet about them because you said they're a bit you know. But yeah, they look quite sparse. I don't know why. I'll show you. I'll send you some
Any
pictures
fruit?
and show you. Not a lot at the minute. I hadn't had a single red or ripe fruit from anything yet.
Oh dear.
Nothing. But it sounds like I'm not the only one. Lots of people are saying that they haven't had anything ripen yet.
Well, that's a really interesting point, and I mean, the few people that are watching this would be interested if they've had any issues with blight, because certainly you put July together with a bit of wind and moisture, rain and humidity. It's classic. We had a tiny bit of blight in one of our tunnels, and it's only the second in about 15 years, but. Really,
so what do you do with that then, Lance? You just whip that out quickly.
Whip it out. Yeah. I mean, the most beautiful thing is that blight doesn't carry into seed.
Yeah.
So we're pretty safe. But I've got a neighbour 5 miles down the road with a 25-foot tunnel. They've been obliterated.
Oh.
I've got a mile away, happy as Larry. So we're pretty okay. I'm sure Niall's okay.
Yeah. I mean, where I'm going just down the road from where I live, a very kind lady gave me some space to grow. There's nothing surrounding it, so I've had absolutely nothing so far. But saying that, when I was at my old house and I used to grow in the garden, I never used to get anything. The allotments 2 miles down the road used to get absolutely battered because you've got that constant tomato going on in close proximity. So what you're saying is absolutely right, Lance. I'm very lucky that I'm surrounded by cows and alpacas and sheep and wasteland basically.
Yeah. I think there was also, as we've always discussed, now there's a trade-off. So you've got the argument about pruning is some people tend to prune really hard and go right up to the 3-4 foot in the plant quite early in the season.
Mark did the other day.
Yeah. It's a great thing, but because you want the ventilation,
Yeah.
but every cut and wound that you make is the first place the blight will go. So simple tip is, if you've got rainy weather in July and August coming up and humidity and moisture, don't prune. Wait till you've got a dry spell and then hit it then, and
Right.
then protect your plants a little bit more. And certainly if you're growing outdoors,
Mm.
you've got a lot more ventilation and aeration. You shouldn't prune your plants much at all.
No.
A lot of people prune the backside out of them outdoors, which is crazy.
Mm.
And so everyone's got their own way. And here's me talking about it, and I had a little bit of blight. So maybe
Yeah,
Well,
I sprayed mine with trichoderma earlier on in the season. And generally 6 weeks later, beneficial fungus that fights other fungal infections, not necessarily blight. And I generally don't have a problem with blight, but I'm a firm believer that well-fed plants are better placed to resist it. I generally grow amphib varieties which
yeah.
don't get afflicted as quickly if you
I
do get
agree.
blight.
I agree. Couldn't believe, it's not scientific, but the black varieties with the black tops are less susceptible to blight, and somebody somewhere needs to do a scientific research into
Yep.
that, because
Yeah.
when we've crossed tomatoes into creating new varieties, the traits of both varieties should never show up in the F1, but some of them, when I've done a black one, we've had black come and antho come into that, so it's so dominant as a gene, and it's obviously the blueberry gene, that
Yeah.
I think it's so you've got in tomatoes, you've got recessive genes and you've got dominant genes. You've got regular leaf, which is dominant, and you've got potato leaf, which is recessive, and potato leaf plants tend to be more susceptible to disease. But the antho gene, as Niall says, they seem to not get blight. So
And
there's
if they do get it, it's certainly later before it bites compared to your bog standard stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So last year I mirrored what I had in the greenhouse. I had outside as well. So it was 25 varieties, I think, and I had one big bed with everything outside. And it was quite late on, but I got blight on that outside bed within a week.
white.
Week gone, the whole bed gone.
It's soul destroying, isn't it?
Oh, it was luckily it was quite late, and I'd had lots and lots off them, but there was still loads on there, but absolutely gone. But then in the greenhouse, my fault, I think, like an idiot, I cleared everything and went in the bloody greenhouse, and then 2 weeks later, greenhouse had gone as
Yeah.
well. So I
It's
must have. I'm sure it must have. I must have carried it in on my clothes or whatever, and that was it.
yeah,
Luckily,
it's soul destroying, and there's no way around it. I mean, we have different pairs of scissors for example, and we dip them.
oh yeah,
I mean, but this is the learning curve that we're trying to implement now. I mean, I've got two tunnels where we've not got any problems whatsoever.
yeah.
But we've got the main tunnel where we had a problem, and hopefully we've resolved it. Interestingly, blight comes in different ways, but this time what happened is on the branches of the leaves, it was the end of the branch that was wilting. Normally you get it on the stalks, you get that
Yeah.
black lump on the stalks, don't you, that furry black lump above normally the first truss of tomatoes, and you go, oh no. But this has been coming, so keep an eye out for your leaf branches, and it's the end bit wilting and going slightly grey. That is the start potentially of blight.
So the furthest out, not nearest the stalk, the furthest out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never seen it like that before. Normally it's whacked straight into the stalks,
Yeah.
or where you've made the cut on the lower branches.
Right.
And its favourite spot is about 3 foot high. In it goes. You look at, it's the worst. It's the most sinking site in the world.
It's all
I dread it. I absolutely dread it, and especially if you get it early. Oh, it would absolutely ruin my summer. It really would.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hot topic, and the the ways around it are well, it's challenging. But I would say one thing is to try and start your tomatoes early indoors. If you can get a plant up to about 3.5 foot, and you can whack it outside at the end of May,
Yeah.
then because blight tends, in my view, outdoor tomatoes seem to get hit in August, September.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get ahead of the game and plant something out there and get it big. And the other thing is, don't choose late ripening varieties, early ripening varieties,
Yeah.
and then you're ahead of the game. And if you can grow it in a conservatory or indoors and get it to about 2 or 3 foot, whack it outdoors, you've probably got a good chance of doing well. The other factor is if you can put it in a sun trap, against a wall, all those things, but we haven't all got that. But get it big, send it outdoors end of May, early ripening varieties.
Yeah.
I don't quite believe in the blight resistant varieties. I
No.
Right.
and they,
No.
yeah, sorry.
No. I concur, Lance. They might delay the onset,
Yeah.
just like an apple does, but resistant is not, preventable. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Anyway, yeah, that's quite a brutal subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a horrid one that none of us like talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but it's good to hear, especially if you've heard of you've had the new possible blight coming to the end of the stalks. Well, we're all looking maybe in a different place. That's good to hear.
It really is
So
selective.
keep an eye out. Yeah.
It is quite selective about how it goes, through areas of the country based on the way your greenhouse is situated, the angle,
Yeah.
ventilation. I mean, we're lucky. Was it 3 years ago? It absolutely blew through the whole of Europe, really.
Just wiped everybody out, didn't it?
Pardon?
It wiped everybody out. Just
Yeah. And I started seeing it online and thought, this is a joke, because, generally 1 in 10 years it hits a tunnel. And I was seeing it in June from online on social media. I was like, wow, this is kind of... Was it 2 or 3 years ago? 4 years ago? I can't remember.
I think it was 3 years ago. Yeah.
I think 3 sounds about right.
But the thing is, so it comes down in the rain and on the wind.
Yeah, it's molecules in spores.
But we all are told all the time, get the ventilation through your tunnels and your greenhouses. Get the windows open. Keep your doors open. You have to. If not, that'll be 50, 60 degrees in there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
a trade-off between windows and chopping.
yeah,
So, chop your plants when you've got a dry spell ahead,
yeah,
and that give it a chance for those wounds to heal.
to heal over again.
Because if you do it when it's going to be humid suddenly, 2 days later, those wounds are open. The blight goes whack straight into those positions.
Yeah.
So, and if you've got a really well ventilated tunnel or greenhouse, really well ventilated. I've got a neighbour who's got 16 foot by 16 foot, 16 foot by 14 foot tunnel, and the wind gusts through it. He's got both doors each end. I would hardly prune at all, and he has no problems. So it's about evaluating your own situation, really, I think.
And being airborne, the last thing you want is moisture lingering around, and your leaves staying wet for whatever reason, whether it's condensation or otherwise. So if you've got that ventilation, you can prevent that lingering moisture.
Yeah.
Can you excuse me 1 second? I need to go and get a beer.
Yeah, go for it. No problem.
Definitely.
Mark, I just want to say that I have got no comments at all. So if there's any comments or anything, you'll have to read them out. Mine aren't saying anything.
All sorts of questions.
Yeah.
We're waiting for a break.
Yeah, go for it. Let's start getting into some.
Let me get back to where they were.
My comments do nothing. If
rolling back.
anybody has got questions, it's always better to put them in this little question box at the bottom.
We were getting lots of abuse from Mr. Plant Geek and saying that we look like the older take that.
That's a compliment rather than an insult. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll take that. I don't mind. I'll take that.
Give me the money.
Yeah.
Give me the money.
Somebody said
it beats selling seeds.
Yeah, definitely. Someone said, I have potato leaf looking tomatoes, indeterminate. Do we prune those ones?
Same advice that Lance recommended: prune minimally. The second you start hacking away your plants, you're creating wounds where infection can get in. You don't need to give it a hatchet job. Of course, those couple of leaves that are down near the soil area where you can, splash that damp that allows the blight to take hold. Offload them, but don't start getting heavy-handed. Potato leaf or normal leaf, you really don't need to follow the internet trends of hacking them to death. They don't need it, and the plant needs the greenery to photosynthesize anyway, which feeds it.
Yeah.
Back
in late September, early October, for sure.
Yep.
Was that Plant Geek being gobby?
Yeah, I mean, like something. I'll take that one.
I mean, he looks like Wolverine's love child. I mean, he needs to get a grip.
I think he would take that.
Lance, do you grow Wolverine?
I do, but you get excited, don't you? Got this Wolverine, and it's a bit like Sartre Rouars, but a bit more ribbed. I mean, I shouldn't say the word ribbed. I mean, it's a bit disconcerting. And we grew quite a bit of it in the beginning, no seeds, and then it's sort of drifted away. I've got 5 plants. We marketing it. It's a no-go for us. Really bloody annoying, but it is what it is. But there's some surprises, and you look at new varieties and you think people will like that, and you go for it. And I mean, there's ribbed varieties specifically, like mushroom basket striped, orange accordion, all the. It's so difficult to save seed from them. You'll grow 50 of them, and you'll cut them open, and there's nothing. So, what do you do? It's a challenge. But there's some surprises and some exciting bits coming up. Every day I go in the tunnels, and it's like, oh, people are going to love this one. So it's a good time of year, a really good time of year.
Yeah.
What are you excited about growing this year?
Oh, so
What's excited you?
In the tomato world?
No, the growing world.
Well, tomatoes are what I love growing. The most, I look forward to growing my tomatoes every single year, not because of the seeds like you two and make loads of money.
Load.
We just afforded this beer.
Mainly because I love eating them, and there's nothing quite like it. You can't buy anything in a supermarket. Nothing. I don't eat tomatoes for the rest of the year.
That's a great point, Jake. So you can grow a pointed cabbage, you can grow carrots, and they will be better than the supermarket, but there's not a marked difference. There's a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But you grow some rocking tomatoes, absolutely peak season. Yeah. You can't replicate that. You can't.
No way. Definitely can't.
And it's worth it. It's just worth all the bloody hassle.
Yeah. I've even got some whole crushed heart in the freezer still from last year, and I'll grate them on a very fine grater.
Okay.
Lovely. Lovely. Really nice.
I've still got about 50 kilos of diced tomatoes from last year.
Because me and Niall get a lot of byproduct. It's quite,
exactly. Yeah.
You phone your neighbours, your friends. Do you want 20 kilos of tomato? And they're like, "What again?" I mean, because in August, September, we're probably cutting about 80 kilos a week. And
and the rest,
luckily, there's a fantastic gastropub near me. I know the guy well, and he's got a little tunnel. He's growing our tomatoes and everything. But he's just obsessed with making things with tomatoes, and we linked up. So he took his first batch last week, about 30 kilos, and he's going to turn it into ketchup. So
that's the thing. You can do so much with it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I've got a guy who takes my leftovers. Well, some of them, not all of them, but some of them to make gazpacho out of. He's got a restaurant, and off they go, seedless. I've saved him a job.
Perfect. Can you take the skins off as well, please? No.
He can filter them out himself.
Yeah, he can, definitely. Any questions, Mark, before we move on?
Hang on. Does cutting the top off your tomatoes when they're leggy help to bush them out and produce more flowers?
Ooh, cutting the...
Oh, what's leggy mean? So leggy, I normally think of something that's about, it's gone.
Can you
really...
say that? Can you read that again to me, please?
Does cutting off the top of your tomatoes when leggy help them to bush out and produce more flowers?
No.
No.
What? Do you want to answer this now?
Yeah, I'll answer it. And it's slightly linked to the internet craze of not even leggy, chopping off the top of your tomato and then taking your side shoots upwards so you've got a couple of stems. Well, your majority of your tomato plants are going to fork into 2 or more stems anyway, and Lance and I both generally run 2 or 3 stems rather than just 1 stem, because you get a better yield. But if your plant's leggy, and it's 3 foot high and skinny instead of a foot high and chunky, you can plant it a lot deeper to get roots off of the stem, which is quite unique to tomatoes.
Yeah.
But is lobbing the top off going to make it any bushier? And does bushier equal more flowers? Bushier does not equal more flowers. You only have to look at a Rebel Starfighter plant that looks like it's dying because it's so wispy. That's not, bushiness is not a sign of health. Now, yes, you could lob it off the top and then grow side shoots up to replace this skinny stem, so that ultimately you're reducing it and starting again. But quite frankly, if I've got a leggy plant, I just plant it deeper, even if I have to do a bit of origami on the stem in the hole. What's your approach to leggy plants, Lance?
I think pretty much the same as you. If you cut the top of the plant, any tomatoes and flowers below it will ripen a lot earlier, and you will get the 2 or 3 trusses that are there. Great, jackpot. But you're not really giving it its potential. I think it took me years. I've been growing 20 years. It took me years to try and deal with leggy plants. And what happens is people leave them on heat for too long. So you put them in a propagator, and up they come, whoosh, and you we're great. Leave them on heat, and we'll have a lovely time with them. But you really want to get them off heat as soon as possible and try and acclimatize them. So this year we had them in the tunnel. 3 weeks in, we dense sow them in a little pot. We'll put 20 or 30 seeds, and then we'll dense sow them, and then we split them out, and they go in a 7 centimeter pot. And we got them within 3 weeks. And the other thing is people try and they split them too early. So give it 3 weeks. Get them about that high. I don't know what, 3, 5, 4 inches. Yeah. Get them strong. People do it when they're like that. Get them strong. Split them out. Put them in 7 centimeter individual pots. And then we put them in the tunnel on tables, but in propagators in the tunnel. And they were on heat mat, but we didn't have any heat on at all. None. And then if we had a cold night, we whacked the heat on. So we kind of stressed the plant a bit, and we bullied them, and we ran them down to 4 degrees. So they didn't grow as quickly, but they were stronger and fatter. And
it's funny you mention that.
Go on.
It's funny you mention that, Lance. I had some Cherokee purple and purple heart shrub that I just lobbed in the tunnel to fence themselves.
Yeah.
Minus, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, 2 degrees. Get on with it. No fleecing, no babysitting, compared to all the others that were inside. And initially, the stuff that was inside was romping away, and the stuff in the tunnel looked a bit, you're a bit small. But now we're a couple of months down the road from when we sowed plants, 2 or 3 months. Those plants that were in the tunnel are stronger, healthier than all the stuff that was completely mollycoddled.
It's weird, isn't it? And I think we do mollycoddle them, and we're a bit concerned about losing them. But plus 4 degrees, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But it's a fine line. Depends where you live in the country. I mean, we had a few scary nights, and I have a little fan heater on a timer on certain nights. But I think the big factor is when you plant them in their final position, the plants.
Yeah.
So ours go in 15-litre pots in a hydroponic system. We bury 3/4 of the plant, and we chop all the leaves up until that.
Oh,
So
really?
we only leave 2 or 3 stems on the top, and that's it. Because all the lower bits will produce roots. If you've got a polytunnel that's 8 foot high, and you don't bury as much as you can, the first truss of tomatoes is going to be 4 foot high instead of 2 foot high. So you're just trying to get more tomatoes out of what you're doing, and you'll get a stronger plant. So bury 3/4 of the plant, and our plants are about 16 inches high when we bury them, and 3/4 buried.
Wow.
And
Wow.
you're the same, aren't you?
Absolutely the same. When I'm planting mine in the auto pots or builder's buckets for the outside tomatoes, the base of that plant is at the very bottom, and there's a good foot of soil above the root ball.
Oh.
There's some Norfolk Blue Door Flowers says that she's put some, or he has put some in the question mark, apparently.
Yeah. So she said, "What is the difference between potato leaf and the other type of tomatoes?"
Yeah, very little other than the shape of the leaf. That jagged edge tomato leaf is your traditional tomato leaf. The more oval shaped leaf that you would see on a potato plant is reflective of a potato leaf. Other than that, there's no difference.
Like that.
Yep.
Except that maybe that's potato leaf, isn't it?
Yep.
That's a potato. This is a standard.
Yeah.
Except that potato leaf tends to be a bit more susceptible to disease. It's recessive. Regular leaf is more dominant. But you do get other types of leaf, which is like ruscos, which is something in between potato leaf and regular leaf. You can also get variegated leaves, which
Moonlit might. Yeah.
And there are a few other types of leaves, but it's pretty much the same thing, really.
No, not it.
Yeah. Just going back to oh, sorry, Mark. Go on.
Kim said you've got a question from her, and I had to remind you.
I have got it, but I haven't had a chance to say it yet, Kim. Right, so I took my I was doing some side shoots the other day, and I'd done a little story of just sticking it in some compost, and it's fine. It wilted it drooped for a couple of days. It's now all perked up, and it's lovely. And I had somebody send me a comment saying, "Oh, there's no point doing that because you won't get no fruit off it. It won't mature in time." And I basically said, "Well, in nice words, yeah, it will. I'll get fruit off it. It doesn't have to be 10 foot tall. It can be 4 foot, but you'll still get fruit off it.
It can just be the first truss. Yeah.
And you could almost manipulate it in that instance. So you get it to 4 foot. If you get 2 or 3 trusses on it, that's when you cut the top off, because that's when you suppress the plant and put all the energy into the fruit. So that would be the time to do that if you've got a late plant, because what we've got is you've got the battle between fruit and growth, and you're trying to create loads of fruit, but you've got to keep the plant going. So if you've got late plants and you get 2 good trusses of fruit on, I cut it. Remember, I cut the bloody top off.
Yeah,
and the fruit will definitely ripen. Would you say, Niall?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I take mine up and over on the greenhouse, up and over on the polytunnel. It's only when they get as far as the centre line of the roof that I then hack them, and that helps force the energy down below. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So if I'm thinking rightly, so the first fruit will come down low, and you'll pick those, and it'll gradually follow as that part of it grows. Then the next one will go and add all the way up to the top. So once that bottom lot is grown fruit, it won't get more fruit down there.
No.
Once you've picked it.
No.
I think it's important to evaluate. So if you're getting to September, you really want to be thinking about, if your plant's quite high and so do I want to chop it off? And because what's it can try and produce more fruit at the higher up, and those fruit will definitely not ripen because you'll be looking at November. And do I want to put more energy into the ones that I'm happy with at 6-7 foot that look pretty good, that have got some shape and size on them? So you've got to evaluate the energy of the plant and what you can get between now and the end of October. And if it's a runaway plant with loads of fruit going up, choose a stopping point. Certainly in September.
Yeah.
Right. You go, well, I don't think that and that's gonna. It's never by end of October. Let's cut it here and let's get the best of it out of the other 3 or 4 trusses of tomatoes that we've got, because they're more likely to succeed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. So you don't end up with loads of tiny little green bullets at the top.
You don't end up with 3/4 of a plant with green tomatoes.
Yeah.
You 3/4 of a plant that you cut in mid-September. Take the best of what you can from
down below,
what you think will ripen.
Yeah, and I suppose from normal growers like myself and anyone else, when you see those green ones there, you think, oh God, I can't cut them off. Like anything else, like a dahlia. So you get Kim. She says, "Oh, dahlia's flower scum." She goes, "Oh my God, I can't do that." But but then, like, same as you got loads of green tomatoes there, you think, "Oh, I can't cut them off." But cutting them off will make all the other ones below.
Well,
good.
There's one elephant in the room on this, and that's chutney.
Green tomato chutney.
Not that I like green tomato chutney very much, but
I'm bored of it.
There's tons of that made in November, you know that. All across the country.
So it's sort of mid-late September. You evaluate. My plant's at 7 foot. It's still trying to give me more and more tomatoes. Yeah, bite the bullet, snip, because those ones that are at the top that are just forming are never ever going to be there in time.
No.
But you cut it and you go jackpot. The rest of them have sped up and they've started ripening a bit more quickly, got bigger, and then you. So I know it's painful cutting things off, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's about being cruel to be kind, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it definitely is.
Definitely is, and I will do it now. You've told me to do it. I will do it.
No, I don't want to be guilty of anything.
No, but that makes sense because, like you say, who wants them hard green ones that are not doing anything?
Head the actress to the bishop. Sorry. I couldn't help it. Sorry.
Catherine's asked, what's your favourite variegated tomato?
Ooh. I'm going to get beer now. It'll take me 10 seconds. I mean, maybe you can.
Yeah. The only variegated I've ever come across, this year's the first year I've come across it, is Moonlit Mile, and I've got 2 plants, one in the big tunnel, one in the small tunnel, and it's fascinating to look at. It's worth growing just for the spectacle of the foliage, and then to find the striped fruit. And if you've got a DEFRA inspector and he makes a beeline for it, it's even more entertaining to be able to say, that's variegated.
Yes.
It's meant
Yes. Oh, that's variegated. So the first time I come across a variegated plant, I was like, thought, this is Christmas. Everyone's going to fall in love with them and they'll be amazing and we're going to sell millions of them. Not the case, really. Some people look at them and think a bird shit on them.
Yep.
They are quite quirky. They were derived from a diseased plant originally.
From mosaic virus, yeah.
But it doesn't travel through the sort of the offspring.
Yeah.
There are potato leaf and there are regular leaf versions of it. I loved growing them. I've got there's probably 6 or 7 on the website. I can't remember, but a favourite of mine is Blues Bling, which is a variegated version of Cherokee Purple. And then one I've grown this year, it's supposed to be indeterminate, but quite weird, stopped at 5 foot. Gave me shed loads of fruit, and all at the same time, so it felt like it was determinate. And that's called Rufus Rainbow, and it's a bicolour, and I was expecting it very tasty, a bit mild and a bit dull. This one was quite interesting. So I'm a big fan of variegated. Knock yourself out if you like it. Go for it. It's each to their own, you know.
I've never even seen one.
No, I haven't.
And they're quite weird. I mean, I got 4 of a dwarf variety, a brand new one out the back, and 3 of them have got sort of a bit of variegation. One of them is just almost yellow. So I've got all sorts of variegation going on. So it varies per plant. And then you've got, which I've never grown before until this year, is chartreuse. So it's a light green mutation. So the plants look ill, almost like they've not been fed. Green.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure what I think about that. Well, we've got to give it a go, haven't we?
Yeah.
Do a variegated, whatever you do, do a variegated.
Yeah, I think I will next year.
Question: what's your favourite variegated? Well, Niall's is Moonlight Mile.
Yep, I've got 2 of them, and they're so variegated that fear for their ability to photosynthesize.
Quite weird.
Yeah.
Your potato leaf, isn't it?
No, it's traditional leaf. Yeah.
Because Moonlight Mile comes in variegated comes in. You can get it in both formats, regular or. I would say Blues Bling is my favourite. It's the fruit's good, the flavour's good, and you get variegation on the stems, and you get variegation in its before it ripens on the plant, on the fruit.
Variegation on the stem as well.
It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, the stems look like a stick of rock from Blackpool in green and sort of pale white.
Wow.
You know, and the leaves are a mixture of sort of pale green, virtually white, and dark green here and there. It's absolutely bizarre. So,
Oh, brilliant.
well,
You have to put a
growing,
picture up. Put a
Well,
picture up now so we can have a look, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
So does that
Brilliant.
make them more susceptible to disease then? Because that in the plant world, variegated plants are generally more disease.
The gene is recessive, but no more susceptible than
Anything else?
potato leaf varieties. So no, it's not really an issue. The disease isn't a particular issue on variegated varieties.
Right. If you only had one side of a 6x6 greenhouse, what varieties would you grow?
Oh, shit.
You want to go first?
I'm going to let Niall go first on this one.
I'll go first. Right, one side of a 6x6 greenhouse.
So what, you got 6 foot by 2 foot?
Right, 6 foot. That's 6 plants far as I'm concerned, in my world. There'd be a Rebel Starfighter Prime in there.
Yeah.
There'd be a Blueberry Dessert in there. There'd be a Black Beauty.
Ooh.
There'd probably be an Ozark Sunrise in there. Based on what I discovered tonight, trying my first purple Smaragd, there'd be one of them in there. Are we up to 6 yet? Maybe one more.
That's 5.
Yeah.
And I think I'd stick a crushed heart in there just to get something early.
Yes. I got most of them.
Oh dear.
Lance, come on.
Asking you this, what your favourite child is.
Stress.
Yes.
Stress.
Well,
I'd be looking to maximise space in a sense. So this year we've been majoring on micro dwarfs, and I have got a 12-foot by 8-foot shitty little greenhouse. It's terrible, rotten old thing. 110 micro dwarfs in there. So that would be one. Just fill it so you've got bucket loads of tomatoes. Right, okay. Rosella Purple, favourite tomato. It's a dwarf, grows 5 foot 6 foot high. Just the finish goes on in your mouth for about a minute. God, you buggers, you got me.
You've only got 5 left.
Lillian's Yellow Heirloom, best yellow tomato I've ever tried. Ugly, tall, potato leaf, not very disease resistant, a pain in the ass. But when you get it, it's like ding ding. Green Giant is even more of a pain in the Green Giant is a large green beefsteak that hardly changes colour when it ripens. It is not very good disease resistant. Probably 8 fruits on the whole plant, but you eat it, you cut it open and you eat it and you go. So, and I grow it every year, and we run out of seed because it only produces a slither of seed, and it irritates the shit out of me. But it's adorable. Only up to 4, 3, 4. Any
2.
Brandywine salad strain or most Brandywine. The origin is, and there are variations of Brandywine. Salad strain, the pink one. I'd ignore the black one or the yellow one. They're not really true. They say they are, but they're not. But Brandywine, even a red one, a Brandywine is phenomenal, and
Tasty.
it's great and low yielding, so really irritating. You grow it and it's like 9 fruits, big beefsteaks, but beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Up to 4, 5, 4.
4.
Urulu okra, a really weird dwarf variety that grows 7 foot. I don't know if Niall's growing it this year. He was thinking about it. Urulu okra. It's brick orange and black, bi-coloured, and it's ugly and it's gnarly, and it's beautiful. So it's the Aboriginal name for Ayers Rock.
Okay.
I'm banging on a bit. We got one more.
One more, yeah.
I thought you were huge on Cherokee Purple, Lance.
Love Cherokee Purple. Yeah. Cherokee Purple is a. You've all heard of Cherokee Purple, haven't you? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you know where it comes from, or I feel like I'm banging on a bit. So I'm sorry.
Fill us in. Go on. Keep going.
So there's a guy that both Niall and I know, who's a pretty important tomato guy in the world, who's created a lot of projects and varieties. A guy called Craig LaHoulier, and he's in America, and he wrote the book called Epic Tomatoes. And in 1989, someone sent him some seeds, and it was a guy called Mr. D. Green, and he sent him these seeds with a letter, and I've seen the letter saying, blah blah. These people gave me these seeds, and it's generations, and their ancestors were Cherokee Indians, and we've kept it in the family. This variety, blah blah blah, and I thought he'd like seed. So he grew it out, sent it to the American Seed Seekers Exchange, who said, no one's going to want a purple tomato. And it went from there, really. So, and now Cherokee Purple's around. This guy, Craig, named it, and it's now all over the world, really. So it's from Mr. D Green, sent,
from one
Brilliant.
source.
But it's been diluted. You can find it in different places where it's ribbed and it's different shapes. So luckily, a few years ago, I got the seed direct from him, so I know I've got the right stock. But it's a great story. It's just very interesting that it's a proper heirloom.
Brilliant. Lovely. So if anybody wants to know any of them, you'll have to watch the podcast back, because I can't remember any.
There's quite a lot of questions through, and people's is there things that we could help with.
There's one on there from Claire, number 12 Garden House. I've had a chalky beige covering on an early sown antho tomato. Do you know if it can be what can it be treated with?
What is it?
Say
What is it?
that again. I've had a
It's a chalky beige covering on early sown antho tomatoes.
On the fruit, on the stem.
Oh,
on the leaves,
He's
you just
still in there, Joe.
on the stem.
That's Claire. That's Claire. That's Claire. It's not Joe. Yeah.
Claire. Are you still in, Claire? Yeah, Claire's still in. Is it on the stem or on the fruit, Claire?
On the stem, she just put
Okay.
Beige. It doesn't seem
beige.
a particular issue. Nothing we would know about as a chalky. It could be unscold, but I don't really know. That doesn't sound like a regular issue. Is it affecting the plants? Is it affecting the productivity?
Yeah. Are they growing well? Are they getting fruit? No. What else have we got there?
I've done all
We've
the.
done all the ones in there. They've started to work. My comments are working. Woo hoo hoo.
Yay!
I got my dahlia.
The comment is there now.
Probably just a northern mist, Kerry says.
She's a cheeky lady.
Let's talk about watering quickly before we get. It was on an early one. I panicked and chucked them. Oh, God. Have we discussed remedies of prevent the blight? We have really.
There's no remedies.
No remedies, just
except a trade-off between pruning and ventilation.
yes.
Hello from Mexico City. That's nice.
Mexico, fantastic.
Hola.
Happy Tomato
We've
Tuesday.
had somebody from Brazil in as well, so around the world.
Brilliant, fantastic. Yeah, so watering. I know you guys use auto pots a lot, don't you? And you swear by them.
I also have 50 that aren't in auto pots in builders buckets, and I swear by pretty much giving them a litre a day.
Give me 1 second. I'll be with you back.
If we go around the rabbit hole of watering, frequent and consistent.
Yes.
Now, I regularly get messages from people. Well, I'm very consistent. I water them once a week. But that's frequent and consistent. You're flooding them, and then you're droughting them, flooding them, and droughting them. So, my preference on the non-auto pots are just constantly watered. They fill up to 2 centimeters. The plant drinks it; it fills up again. So you're not overwatering, you're not underwatering. But stuff like builders buckets, I generally wander around mine, give or take. Plan is to give them a litre a day. If it looks like it's still damp, I might give them half a litre. Yeah. If it looks dry, I might give them 2 litres. But the idea is to keep it on the drier side of wet rather than which we all know is a bit of a finger in the air job. And I'm sure you're probably, I know you grow, I've seen you growing in open soil, Jamie.
Yes.
You know, you're probably a better person to talk about open soil than I, because
So
when I do grow in open soil, I sink conduit down to the roots and, you know, randomly lob half a litre or a litre every few days. You know, because yeah,
and so yeah, so up until this last few weeks, I've done exactly that. And to be honest, where you water and water the same every day, it creates a dish. So that it doesn't spill out all over it. So it kind of goes in that dish. And exactly like you said, if you can see it's still a darker colour, it's damp. Just don't give it as much that day. But I water every day. But I've just very luckily been given a micro dripping
yep.
system from Irrigator, and I've been using that for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's the best thing. Absolutely amazing.
It's funny you mentioned irrigation, because at my last house, I had quite a large garden and a load of raised beds, and I just built my own irrigation system out of 16 mil pipe to go round in a loop, and then 4 mil pipe to come off to drippers. And you know, I didn't get as
Thanks,
fancy as
Kim.
having on timers, but you know, once a day I'd turn the damn thing on, and when I was done with it, I'd turn it off. But
Yeah,
if you're in doubt with whether your plants need watering, you know, I hate to say it, ram your finger in it, and you know, and actually have a good feel.
exactly.
I, I,
Exactly.
I could put another quote to that, what you just
Yeah,
said.
don't go there.
I could repeat myself, couldn't I?
Ramming your finger in a moist and stuff. What are we on about?
Oscar,
It's saucy now.
I mean, I didn't hear what Niall said because I was getting another beer. Keep the plants damp.
Yeah.
Water them, feed them once a week, obviously. Crank the feeding up during fruiting. You know, take that seriously. Try and find the best feed that you can. I mean, horses for courses. Try some different ones.
What
I'm not going to.
feed? Come on. What do you recommend?
I mean, I don't really want to sort of pick on one. Some people might be using tomato right all their life and be happy. What was the one that Thompson Morgan made? This Chempac number 5. Is it four?
Four,
I used
five.
to, yeah, 4 or 5. That's a granular thing. I used to use that years ago, but we tend to use liquid. I use a liquid feed from Mill. It varies. I have an A and a B, and then I have high nitrogen early in the year, and then we move. As soon as the fruits come out, we move to high. I've got something with loads of different sugars in it and stuff, a bit like a molasses that goes in with the A and B. I mean, anyway, each to their own.
I've used this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. I mean, everyone loves them and they do well. So the watering, I really don't like grow bags. They really irritate the backside off me. And the reason I don't like them is that you can't plant the tomatoes deep enough. And we talked about
They're about that deep.
Yeah, so you can't do that, and they can dry out really quickly. You know, the fashion now is being to get a grow bag and cut it in half and turn it on its arse.
Yep.
So you've got dumps, and that would be a great way. Or just get a 25-litre bucket and 25 litres worth of compost. Big bucket. It won't dry out as quick. Keep it damp. I mean, I've got 2 25-litre buckets out on an old painter's table at the back of the tunnel. They're sort of hanging basket types. They're really annoying, actually, called Spanish Dancer. And I think every 4 or 5 days I think, oh shit, I got to water those because they're not part of my whole thing. I got to see. Oh, sorry about you lot. Sorry, I forgot you. and they seem to be fine because they're in big containers. So don't be frightened to use a 20 or a 25. Just keep the soil damp all the time. Happy families.
And on that watering note of consistent and frequent and keeping it damp and not soaking, you know, that's what leads us on to the nugget rabbit hole or blossom end rot, you know, which is ultimately caused by the infrequent, your peaks and your troughs, and the plant can't take the calcium that's readily available to it. You end up with the problem that's probably something you did 4 or 5 weeks ago. So if you start your season on that basis of frequent and consistent, then you generally don't get afflicted. Obviously, if you're in a soft water area, you're potentially more going to get afflicted because there isn't actually any calcium kicking around anyway.
Yeah.
And some people add salts to alleviate that, and you've got magnesium, calcium,
CalMag.
yeah, as well. There's those options, but it's balancing acts, and I mean, I spend my life worrying about balancing fertilizer in tanks for auto pots. So CalMag, and then you've got the pH level up, down, and you can get obsessed with it. So don't get too obsessed. Find a feed you like, keep
And use it.
feed it once a week, off you go. Because I'm obsessed with it, and it's sleepless nights. Don't do it.
And that's actually how Lance and I sort of ultimately end up friends, because he had autopots and he was using various feeds in his. I got some autopots, and the first thing I did was say, "Well, what do you stick in your tank?" And he told me and made a recommendation, and I went off and started using that product. And Lance is absolutely right. You can start getting quite obsessed with measuring your bloody pH and measuring the strength of the fertilizer. But I know Lance uses liquid feed. I've tried the liquid feeds as a bit of an experiment earlier on in this season. I prefer to use a soluble feed, a very different product, and it works for me. But there's no right answer to fertilizing. Use what you're happy with. I absolutely concur with what Lance says there.
Yeah, and the stuff that that you put up on the screen. And we know Rachel, who works for them, and we know that they're a pretty reputable company. I've not tried their products, but I've heard good things, nothing but good things. I went off of granular mixes because the calcium magnesium, calcium. I can't get that word.
Calcium nitrate and magnesium sulfate.
Sorry. I was melting it down in water, and it was reforming in the bottom of the tanks, like. You could shovel it out, and like it was reforming as crystals and blocking all the watering systems. So I was like, "No, I'm not doing it anymore." So that's why I moved to a liquid. It was like, what's going on here? So most people listening to this, if it's tomato right, it's tomato right. Don't get et up on it. But you do need to feed them once a week, and especially when they're fruiting. Jack the feed up, double it up. Don't be.
And the reason you need to feed them is your traditional tomato feed, like Tomarite or Big Tom or Doff. It's got a high proportion of potassium and phosphorus. The phosphorus is there for setting fruit. The potassium is there for ripening a fruit, which is exactly why you need to do what Lance has just said and feed the damn thing and ramp it up when your plants are in fruit. If you start giving it a dose of seaweed feed, then the mineral content's splendid, but it's not got that phosphorus and potassium that a tomato plant specifically needs for flowering and fruiting and ripening.
Right. High in nitrogen, whoosh, you're just going to have lovely, beautiful green plants and no fruit. And my plants by mid-May, I was on this thing called Start R, which is a nitrogen-based things to get things going, and the fruit was coming, and I contacted the company and I said, I'm still on this Start R, and I've got fruit. No, get off that, because I was getting, the foliage was phenomenal, the fruit was coming, but I need to put the energy then into the fruit. So little think about the NPK content.
I was just about to say, what do you think would be a good NPK for not for you guys, for us?
Round about 588, give or take.
Yeah.
I am going off the head here without reading.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If you read the Tomarite label, you're not far wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
I am totally confused by NPK. because some people put there's big numbers and little numbers and there's ratios, and I've stopped trying to work it out. It drives me bonkers. So I've got stuff for early, mid, and late season. And I've got
Okay.
this. So yeah, if it's Tomarite or it's Kempack number 4 or it's Levingtons or whatever you've got, or that's that fancy stuff that you've got with the, is it every?
Yeah, every tomato.
What's the NPK on that, Mark?
Don't think it actually says, to be honest.
But their stuff's pretty good, apparently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they do a liquid. They've got a new liquid one, haven't
Yeah.
they?
Mac Photo, yeah, I've used their stuff before, and I've used their biscuit stuff that goes, the little wafers of nutrients, and I've had good results using their stuff. I mean, I use a granular product called Hydrosol, and it's something like 5/1838 NPK. It's heavy duty on the phosphorus and the potassium, but I get good results with it. I get a good yield, and as a seed seller, I want yield.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, it is about yield, and yeah, definitely. It's all about
Fuel, yeah.
Just quick, going back to the watering part and keeping them moist. A lot of people don't like that word. I quite like it, moist. That's also a big problem for splitting fruit, isn't it? If you let them dry too much and then give them a big old flood,
Yeah.
then they just suck up all the moisture. And
It's that flood and famine. If you can keep it consistent, then you're not going to just suck from the fruit, expand the fruit, suck from the fruit, expand from the fruit. And you're absolutely right. It's the flood and famine that will cause that.
yeah,
yes, and also the fact that if you're growing interesting heirloom varieties, and this is what people don't realise, that heirloom varieties, old varieties, have gone out of fashion because they weren't commercially viable, because they had a low yield, not very good disease resistance, or primarily because they split quite easily as they ripened and had very thin skins. If you are growing more interesting varieties, which Niall and I tend to sort of veer to, you should pick them as they change colour, not when they're seriously ripe. As they change colour, snip them, have them on your window ledge for a couple of days, and they'll be back. Because, all right, the yields are lower, they're a little bit more temperamental, and that's why they are not commercially grown. But by God, if you get them right, the flavour profile is completely different. So I would recommend picking a tomato when it's halfway coloured. So you've got it on the turn, and it's not solid.
yeah,
You've got a little bit of give in it, not much, but a bit of give, knowing that you're 2 days away, and that way, you'll stop slightly squirrels getting in, anything else eating it, and it's not splitting, so no getting in the middle, and you've got it bang on. So we tend to pick ours a little tiny bit earlier.
that's good to know, because some of these greens and purples you're used to seeing green to red. That's it. Have it off. But some of these green, you're still sitting there green. You think, oh, I can't eat that yet, and you go, oh God, it's really squishy. So yeah, that's a good idea. Just have them off just by the squeeze test, maybe.
It's the squeeze test always, yeah. So I'm picking. So what we do is I pick through the week, and then at the weekend, cut. And some of them will be, I squeeze them and go, right, that'll be great for the weekend. That'll be great, and we just keep doing it. And it's a bit like at home, with a little greenhouse. You have them on the window ledge, don't you, in a line?
Yeah.
So and we've had some at home here that we know we're going to eat, and we see them. I pick them knowing that in 3 days' time they're going to be bang on. So don't. I've got a neighbour who grows quite a lot, and he picks late, and I've gone in there and seen, black beauty on the edge, and it's almost split. And no. So pick your tomatoes when they've changed colour, but not when they're seriously ripe, because then you've got more scope. You can plan what you eat.
Yeah.
And you can literally have a sort of procession of tomatoes on your window ledge.
I must admit, the worst thing you could ever do is when you're trimming up, trim a lovely big truss of cherry tomatoes off, big full. Oh no, this isn't me. Red, green, and like a traffic lights.
We've all done,
Oh, look at them!
we've all done it.
Yeah.
I know, it's horrible.
Windows.
That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
First tomato that's a bit gnarly, which is that one that's sort of double flower, and it sort of blends into the first truss, and you don't know quite where to cut it, and you cut it in the wrong spot, and you take the rest of the truss off.
I know, horrible.
Annoying, yeah.
Oh dear.
I've got one of those on one of my gunmetal grey plants, and half the fruit is starting to turn in colour-wise, and the other half's still green. And I had a poke and prod at it earlier on, and like you say, Lance, you can't tell where it's coming from. And they actually peeled it back, and it's like, where the hell am I going to cut this in a few days' time?
And you've got 5 or 6 fruits underneath it. If you get it wrong, I mean, it's a bit like playing Kaplunk or something.
Yeah. Bomb the squote.
Oh
Bomb
no! Oh dear me!
Like, way, you've lost that lot.
Brilliant.
Where's this plant geek gone? I thought he'd be a bit feisty with our comments, but he's gone off into the distance.
He went to watch Hollyoaks.
He
went to watch
Hollyoaks.
That sounds about right.
Hollyoaks. Good God.
Yeah. Right for him, yeah. Too prissy for our show.
Well, gentlemen, it's nearly 9:10.
So it's time for lightning round.
Lightning round.
What's lightning round?
Oh,
So
yeah.
quick questions for you both. You both answer. There's only 8 questions, maybe. So, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Flowers or edibles?
Edibles.
Beach or forest?
Beach.
Ooh.
Beach.
Oof, they're a perfect match so far. Go to emoji when you're texting.
Rolling on the floor, laughing face.
Seedling.
Oh, yeah. Not a tomato.
Well, I do seedling, tomato, smash it out of the pot. So that's the sort of general. When you have lots of communication with people on social media, and they're like, oh, they're showing one of you. They go, seedling, tomato, and a sparky smash bag.
If you could have one snack for the rest of your life, what would it be?
What?
Snack?
Yeah.
Don't say Pringles or something.
I'm just going to have to confess. Pork scratchings.
Oh, yes. Well done.
Classic.
Chunks of mature cheddar.
Yeah, lovely.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Finish the sentence. My perfect day would be
Twatting around in my polytunnel.
Oh, you got me there. Perfect day would be watching cricket eating tomatoes.
nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Oh, yeah.
Sowing seeds or potting on?
Potting on.
Potting
I
on.
love potting on. It rocks me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could see progress.
Yeah.
So in seed, you can't see anything. You've just got to wait.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing because potting on, you're like, right, we're right at the beginning of the season, potting on. Let's video this. Let's get excited. Let's put it on social media, and people have seen it all before.
Yeah.
But you do it,
It's exciting this year, though. Spring or summer?
Spring.
Spring. Watching them rocket as they go, yeah.
And final question: today's favourite plant or tomato variety for you two?
Oh, you bugger. Today's favourite plant. Rufus Rainbow. It's brand new. I put a post up of it today. I cut some of it open today. It's a variegated variety. I can shout about it because there's quite a lot of seeds in there. It's rock and roll, and I loved it. Rufus Rainbow.
Sounds good.
Brilliant. Niall?
Right now, today, purple smaragd. It's got elongated pointed fruit that are striped red and green. Never grown it before. I've got 3 plants that are absolutely loaded with fruit. I've never tasted one, and we've got the first ripe one tonight, and it was only right and proper that I gave it to the lady who lets me grow on her land. So she ate it. I asked her the question, is it sweet or acidic? She said acidic. I normally grow sweet fruit. Most of what I grow is sweet. So to have something that's got a bit of spice and bite to it, I'm looking forward to trying that myself, which is why it's my... Yeah.
And I'd never heard of that.
No.
So that's exciting.
Purple smaragd, yeah.
There you go.
So we can look forward to that next year then, Niall, can we?
We can.
I'll look out for that.
Definitely.
Likewise.
So, everybody, like I said earlier, there must have been 50 different tomatoes mentioned tonight, and I'm definitely going to go back and make a list. Everybody else can go back and read and have a listen what they are. You can get all of these from these 2 gents on their sites. And thank you two for coming on. It's been absolutely amazing.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Thanks for inviting us. It's been a blast.
It's been really good. No, it's been fantastic. No, I was just stuck there. Purple smoke. I can't read it. I wasn't saying.
Well,
Smaraged.
I can only assume it's smaragd. Yeah.
Smaragd. Yeah.
Smaragd. Yeah.
Will do, Catherine. Will do. No problem.
Well,
Lovely.
when it gets converted to a podcast, you can go to transcript and it'll have it all written down anyway. So
yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, it goes. Yeah, you can get it on Spotify and Apple and everywhere as well.
On Friday, it'll be a podcast.
I have to go and hide behind the sofa.
When the millions start listening. Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, gents.
Thanks very much.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Oh, I knew that's going to be good. Love tomatoes. Tomatoes are my favourite.
Hashtag Tomato Tuesday.
Definitely. Yeah. Look at that. Look, I've got horses with me now.
So, anyone that is listening for the first time, we put this straight onto Instagram after we finish the live, and then on Friday it'll be released on any podcast platform that you use.
Yeah.
Give it a listen, and go and listen to the other 47 episodes before this one.
Now, I think it's next week a year. Was it 1st of August yours last year?
Possibly, yeah. It could well be. It's episode 49 next week. So, and I think we've had 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm sure I can remember you. It was 1st of August when we went to yours last year.
Yeah.
So,
we're
yeah.
Start losing the light then.
Yeah. It's called Through the Garden Gate. So yeah, if you go on mine, Mark's, or Through the Garden Gate account, they'll be there. But it also, just search for it on any podcast provider, it'll be there.
That logo.
There you go. Through the Garden Gate. That makes this week. Yeah. Oh, it's either this week or next week. I'm sure you said 1st of August. If we go calendar year, it'll be next week.
Yeah. Party hats next week then. Streamers and.
Look at that, 9:15, Mark. They must be on the cusp of beating Chris.
No, it was nearly 2 hours.
Was it?
It was an hour. was an hour and 52.
Oh, bloody hell.
So yeah, we're 7 minutes off.
God. Party and games. Oh my God. She's saying, what can me and Mark running around doing games?
Just turn up at your house and we can do one together.
Yeah, that's it. We should do, definitely. We'll have a chat about it.
What was I going to say?
Oh,
I don't know whether people have noticed, but I added an extra podcast this week onto the podcast feeds of the episode that Time Forgot, which was with Home at Spring Cottage Natalie, that somehow slipped through the cracks and we forgot to convert it to a podcast. So it is now on your podcast places as well. An extra bonus
not here.
there.
And you've told her, haven't you?
Yes. Special guest next week. Oh, we always have a special guest.
Of course, they're all special, definitely. All specials. Every guest special.
Trying to think who is next week. Oh, I know. Yeah. There is a special guest next week, actually. Quite a good one.
Yeah. They're all special.
All special. Every single one gives us
all
a
special too.
Perspective. And we learn something. And
do. Learn something every week, especially me.
Yeah, definitely you.
Cool, right, on that note.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. See you later. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Ta-da.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Through the Garden Gate.